Hi, you're welcome back. Practical demonstration, clip 1C. We're going to take a little look at Nikola Tesla's polyphase system for driving alternating current motors. In the case of a single phase motor, such as this one, a small single phase motor, or generator like the one that's on the front, the waveform out of it is like this, and there are times here, here, here and here when there's no current, and this is equal to if you're riding a bicycle when the pedal is at the very top. There's a point at the very top where you can't push it down and there's no current. Tesla's solution to this, which he thought up after he left Edison, was a polyphase system. In other words, instead of having just one coil rubbing against the magnet, he put 3 or 4 or more. And the waveform of this, produced by his particular one, a 3-phase generator, was like this. There were 3 separate phases. See that? 2, 3. And the result was that there was no actual point where there was no current flowing. You had this kind of a ripple current instead. And prior to that, with direct current systems, a motor driven by direct current had a commutator the same as the equivalent generator. So you converted the AC of the generator to DC using a commutator. You converted it back to AC using a commutator in the motor, and you had power out. Here's a stripped away electric drill used in the modern for modern alternating current single phase, and this works on the same principle. But one of the problems with such a motor, which was self-starting, was that there was no connection between the generator in speed-wise and in the actual motor itself speed. So if you use them for something like an elevator in a shopping centre, you couldn't control the speed. The speed was a function of the load and the power in. If I you turn this motor here, you see that it's running their way, and I can stop it here if I want. I have just a piece of paper, but there's no actual connection. A battery can run it. So it had those flaws, and Edison was desperately trying to overcome them, but he couldn't actually do so. And so the AC system, even a small AC single phase motor, had to use a condenser or a capacitor and other devices to get over the times when there was no current flowing, and they were only suitable for very small applications, because if you overload them, they get hot very quick and they click out. There's all kinds of problems, so they're only useful for small applications. So I already showed you the alternator using the single phase principle with a north-south alternating current. And Tesla's solution was 3 coils spaced at 120 degrees to each other, and the rotor went around north-south, north-south. So the current rose in this one, then it went to here and it rose in this one, and then it went to here and it rose in this one. Now we've seen the DC motor and the AC motor. The difference in them, the main difference in the 2 motors, is that in the AC, the timing is regulated by the phase, which is regulated by the generator. So there's a connection between the speeds of both. You can have them higher and lower speeds, but once they're set, they will go roughly to the speed of the generator. So you can have them at all types of speeds for different applications. So this is a look at the alternator for producing the AC 3-phase current. So you have 1, 2, 3 coils, and you have the magnetic field going around. And this creates a magnetic field which rotates, which appears to go round like that in a circle. Whereas the ordinary single phase machine produces just a simple phase which does not rotate. It's more or less stationary. So this one here, Tesla used 3. He was fascinated by the figure 3, and but you could have 4, 5, 6, 7, and he had somewhat 2 actually in it. And in this book here, written by Thomas Comerford Martin in 1884, he dedicates a huge amount to the polyphase currents that Tesla already had models of, even at this time when Edison was still trying to use his direct current. Now, this shows the rotational magnetic field, and we give a rough idea. If you imagine this is the rotor of the motor to go round, and if we pin it here roughly around the center, we find that as this goes round, this particular coil attracts it here. Then this one down here attracts it here. Then as that passes, this one attracts it here. And then as that passes, this one attracts it here. And it goes on like that. So as one of these approaches a magnet, the phase rises in that, pulling it. And then it switches off, and then it rises in this one, pulling it there. And then it switches off, and then it rises here, pulling it there. So you get this rotational magnetic field effect. So one of the features of it is that you then have 6 of a generator or an alternator, is that you have 6 wires coming out, and any 2 of those will light a bulb. But any 2 of these will not light a bulb. And these coils in an alternator of 3 phase are very like 3 children or 3 youngsters of any species. They're independent of each other, but they're not independent of the parent, which is the rotor. And the phase is directly related set at 120 degrees in each one. And so you won't get a current between 2 of them. You have to get a current from each one. So it's more or less the same as saying that you couldn't ride 2 horses at the same time. You have to ride one or the other. So therefore, what you can do, however, is you can join 3 of the wires, 1, 2, 3, and use that as a neutral, and then you can use 1, 2, the 3 phase wires for your power. And you'll see that if you watch in country areas, 3 wires coming out, and they're tapped then for individual households, or they can all 3 go into a factory if you need motors. So where motors or a big transmission of electric power is needed, the 3 phase system has become the norm. Now this little device here is designed to replicate the 3 phase motor, and in doing so, it's just a little thing that I made up, and it comprises a ring out of an alternator, which is 3 phase, and it has a number of magnetic coils around, but there's just 3 in reality, even though they're split to make them more efficient. There are actually more than 3, but there are 3 coils, so the current rises in 3, 3, and 3. So each one of these coils jumps a distance of 3 others, or jumps a distance of 2. They're 3 apart. Inside is a little cork, and on that cork are 4 screws out of a local hardware shop. And I'm going to give it a test. So the equipment that I'm using to generate that, I'm going to dip this here, is just a half horsepower electric motor driving via a belt this particular alternator of a car, which has been adopted and a lot of its equipment has been removed. It gives typical three-phase alternating current. It needs the starter to be energized, because it is just like this. It's a wound rotor job, and it needs batteries to energize it. But it's a standard three-phase motor. So I'm going to switch it on now, and we'll give it a try. And I'll zoom this in a little bit here now, and you can see there there are 3 wires, 1, 2, 3 coming out. The alternator itself has 3 of its 4 joined here at the back. So you have these 3 coming out, and here they're here. So we'll adjust the camera a little bit more. And I'll bring it up a little closer too, just to help. And there I think you can possibly see, just I'll give you a quick look at it, and then we'll move back. You can possibly see that this can move around. Now there are no brushes, and this is the great thing about Tesla's polyphase motor. So now we'll switch on the connection to it. And give it a little help, and we just stop it again now. Now, we'll just get it going. And there it's starting to go around. Okay. Let's just let it stop again. You can see it there. I'll set the camera a little better. And you see the screw nails. It's just a little piece of wire here, and it's on a piece of paper at the back with a small hole. So now we're going to connect it on again. And it's getting up quite speed there. So I'm now going to stop the alternator, and it rallies on for a period. And so you see that it's running without any brushes or anything else, and that was a novel thing at that time. They're starting again. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Now if you watch now, you'll see you see the 3 clips here. I'm now going to reverse these 2, because in the book the author tells us that Tesla, that was one of the simple advantages of this system. You could reverse it simply by reversing 2 wires. Now you could also do that with a direct current alternator, but not in the same way. Now or a direct current dynamo. Now we're going to change the wire. When we do, you saw it reversing. I'm changing the wires here. Switch them again. And And there goes the other direction. We'll just check it again now. Now it's going that way. It's going that way. We'll put her going. Stop it now. Stop it now. And reverse these little clips. And put it going again. It's not, sometimes this type of experiment, it sticks a little. Oh, there we have a bad connection. Just needed a little push. Stop it again. You have to go from start. That's the idea. So, change these. And there it goes the other way. There's I'm trying to show you the alternator, the 3 wires emanating from the alternator. Here are the 3 central ones, these 3 join. See them there? See there, they're joined. All 3, see them here. 1, 2, 3. See them there. And then here are the 3 wires coming out here. So this is the rotational 3-phase magnetic field that Nikola Tesla dreamt up. And it was a major advance, and still the way we transmit a lot of motive power in the world. We'll stop it again, and as I stopped the motor this time, I started and stopped it again, and you see the motor, the rotor starts and stops with it. Get it going, it's going at good speed there. I'd say about 3 per second. That's going about 3 per second. So 360s is 180. 180 revs a minute. So now we change this, and there it reverses. It reverses. We'll pull this back out here. Give you a look at the whole system. And so if you throw the switch and disconnect your motor, it stops. Starts again when you make the connection. And stop again. So just in case somebody says there's something untoward in here, there's a nice little piece of heat that's slightly warm, and that's all that is. That's just a cork out of a wine bottle with a needle through it, and I put this piece of paper here so you can see it going around. Just ordinary steel screws. Simple. That's all that is. And they're just put in at random. So, for his time, Nikola Tesla was indeed a very bright fella. And he suffered from probably Asperger's syndrome and also maybe from synesthesia. And in his latter life, he did make certain suggestions about electricity and various power systems that might have been a bit off the wall. And in the end, he began to be considered as a bit of a mad scientist. But he patented our present radio system as well, way ahead of Marconi in many ways. And I think he tells us a bit about people like that we should always be aware that maybe people who are a little bit different or who have some psychological problems, that may be that their brain is just arranged in that way, and this may be nature's way of producing one or two people who really change our world. In my view, Tesla very much did change our world, and he, in the end of his days, he fell in love with a pigeon in New York City, and when the pigeon died, he took to the bed, as to say. He had a bit of depression, and he was infatuated by the number 3. He'd have to have 3 eggs in the morning and 3 table napkins and all this kind of stuff. And there are books written about him, sort of poking fun at him. But I don't think it's fair. I think we owe him a great debt of gratitude. And I think that we should be looking out for people like that in our own society, maybe youngsters, who, if they were given a proper chance in a college or an education facility where there was sympathy for them, who knows what they would come up with or what they would do for us. After his death, he died in 1943, and he died alone in a room in the hotel, and the numbers on the room door, when added up and divided, all had a 3, multiples of 3, and he died alone. But in 1960, he did get some recognition in his lifetime. He did win a good few awards. He won 3 or 4 different medals, including the Edison Medal for inventing. And he did present a lot of his stuff like this to engineers in the States as well. So it wasn't all bad news. And after his death in 1960, the standard of measurement, the international standard of measurement of a certain thing was named the Tesla after him. And what it was the standard for measuring the flux of alternating current, and very appropriate too, I think. So this is now clip 1C, and there won't be any more of these. You may go now to clip 1 and see conventional generation systems if you haven't seen it already. Otherwise you go to 2, in which we look at the attributes of wind generation systems, etc. So, and its incorporation of the grid. So thank you very much for that. We'll see you then.